He will command this wing that is to cross right here at Beverly's Ford. This wing would be comprised of the 1st Cavalry Division, the Reserve Brigade, his old Reserve Brigade, plus a select infantry brigade commanded by General Ames. And the left wing, that would be commanded by David McMurtry Gregg, the 2nd and the 3rd Cavalry Divisions, and accompanying that left wing would be the infantry column of David Russell. Now let me just mention something to you here for a second. You've all got maps there, and I'd like for you to pull out, I want to orient you because we're going to be talking about these things today. Locate on your maps I like this map right here because W.W. Blackford was a heck of an engineer. He drew that right after the battle. That accompanied Stuart's report. That map right there. I got this out of the archives. My friend Bob Music, Mike Music, reached into Jeb Stuart's folder in the archives, and he copied this for me. Blackford's report to accompany Stuart's report of the Battle of Brandy Station. Now you see Beverly's Ford. You see where you're standing would be on that road just about right here. Just left, right here. So this, you can see Beverly's Ford. Look south, you see Kelly's Ford. You see Brandy Station. You see Fleetwood. These are places we're going to be talking about today. So acquaint yourself as we move about with these maps. Now, the Rappahannock River, right down here, will go all the way to Fredericksburg, some 50 miles or so. A prominent historian wrote that this river, this little river right here, would achieve a distinction in the Eastern Theater every bit as great as the Mississippi and the Western Theater. Why is that? The Rappahannock is equidistant between both capitals, and if you defend that river, somebody's got to come across it and attack you, and then Confederates had room to fall back on Fleetwood Hill and the heights back there. So, the river is important, not only during this battle, but effectively throughout the war. I'm going to go quickly into the opening of the battle. By the way, let me say a little word about the individual commanders. The commanders, Alfred Pleasanton, he was unprincipled. As one of his officers, Charles Russell Roll, said that he was incapable of telling the truth. Somebody else said that Marcina Patrick called him utterly unprincipled. This was the man right here who would step into George Stoneman's place. As he is now a brigadier general. He wants very badly to be a major general. And so he wants to distinguish himself today. He is untrusted by his troops completely. One of his officers, and I worked up on Capitol Hill for several years, and I know what this phrase means. Pleasanton never did anything save with an eye to a newspaper paragraph. He always had reporters around him. He always had reporters drawing his sketch, quoting his words. On the other side, Jeb Stuart. Jeb Stuart was an incredibly energetic fighter, much beloved by his men, actually. One of his troopers said, "We trusted him with our lives and sometimes to our disadvantage." But this was a very capable officer, John Sedgwick, 6th Corps commander of the Army of the Potomac, with whom he had served out on the plains of Kansas. As an officer, John Sedgwick called him the finest cavalry officer ever foaled in America, and I don't think anybody ever doubts that. He will be badly surprised during this battle, but as you'll see at the end of the day, he recovers. So now, we've got both armies positioned. The Federals sensing something is going on over here, and they want to attack. Let me read to you for a second Pleasanton's orders to Buford. Pretty good. what he did was take Hooker's orders to him, and he made these Pleasanton's orders to Buford. You will place your, this is June 8th. You'll place your command in motion today to be able to cross the Rappahannock at daylight tomorrow morning, 9th June, at Beverly's Ford. He's asking, requesting, demanding that Buford come into Culpeper County and disperse and destroy the enemy cavalry. Now, they believe the Federals do. They believe the enemy cavalry is at Culpeper Courthouse. Culpeper Courthouse is 13 miles from here. The enemy cavalry is right here. Did Pleasanton send scouts over? Did Pleasanton send scouts over to alert himself that there might be Confederates camped right at the river? No, he did not. Alternatively, did General Stuart put pickets on the other side of the river to alert him that enemy cavalry was approaching? No, he did not. Command hubris. He did not believe that the Federals were capable of attacking him. He would learn a very hard lesson here. He would learn a very hard lesson. So, the battle will get underway. And as the battle gets underway, we're going to pick it up down here at Buford's Knoll in just a minute. But as the battle gets underway, there's a couple of things that I want to indicate to you. That's where I put it. Excuse me 1 second, please. On the other side of the river, the officer of the day, the evening of June 8th, 1863, is a young lieutenant, George Armstrong Custer. He is on the staff of Alfred Pleasanton. He was on McClellan's staff as a captain. Now he's reverted back to his regular rank of lieutenant. He's the officer of the day at the Union headquarters on the other side of the river, just back of Beverly's Ford. He writes his sister, pull this out of his file at West Point. He writes his sister in Monroe, Michigan. This tells you the reason I think it's important. It will let you know the Federal attack plan. Dear sister, he's writing her in Monroe, Michigan. It is 10 o'clock at night. We have just taken our supper. The general has gone to sleep. That's Pleasanton. The rest of the officers are laying around, wrapped in their blankets. I am officer of the day and must remain up during the night. We're in sight of the Rappahannock. This is the last opportunity I will have to send you a letter for some time. We intend to cross the river tonight at 4 o'clock in the morning. I am to awaken the general at 2. We could see the rebels in their rifle pits on the opposite bank before dark. It will be a daring undertaking, but I think we'll succeed. I intend to ride Roanoke tomorrow. Roanoke was a Confederate war horse that he had captured, that somebody had captured and given to Custer. Roanoke's sympathies were still with the South, because once this battle opened, this horse would take off for Confederate lines. He didn't put that in his after-action report, by the way. While I cannot predict the results, I have confidence that with our force, we can ride over anything that might oppose us. As to myself, I've never been in better spirits than I am at this moment. Now, this fellow, a lieutenant, June 8th, 1863, is going to be a general within the month. And a large part of the reason he's promoted to general is because of his performance here. And I've looked hard and I can't find it.
Well, what do you expect from the Yankee Army anyway?
But he says, now this is interesting. I have given directions that in case anything happens to me, my trunk and other articles should be sent to you in Monroe. If such an event should occur, I want all my letters burned. So, the attack begins. Before I begin with the tactical overview of the attack right here, before we move to Buford's Knoll, did you have anything to add here?
Not in particular.
Okay, you covered it very thoroughly. Thank you. Did you?
Administrative notes whenever we're set.
Okay, all right. This is going to go very quick because our Sergeant Major here is moving us along. The battle will open, and as the battle opens, the 8th New York Cavalry comes across a big regiment, 800 strong. Up front, Hartwell Thompson leads them across. Beverly's Ford is in that direction, just less than a mile. He leads them across. Grimes Davis is in command. Grimes Davis is a colonel. He's an acting division commander right now. This is Grimes Davis, a Mississippian, mind you. Moi, a Mississippian. In 1854, he graduated from West Point with a class of Jeb Stuart. He decided to stay with the North. That decision would cost him his life, but this is a very good officer. Fought Indians before the war, a very good officer. John Buford was very fond of him. So he will lead this attack across. Henry Cutler will be the first man to die in the Gettysburg campaign. 8th New York Cavalry, shot in the throat, dead before he hits the ground. That's the first man to die in the Gettysburg campaign. Buried in Avon, New York. Avon, New York. So, the 6th Virginia Cavalry, the pickets hold them at the fort. There's a little company down there, Company A, 6th Virginia Cavalry. They will hold them. Briefly, enough time for 150 men of the 6th Virginia Cavalry to come rushing down this road. Right here, where you're standing, 7th Virginia Cavalry, racing across this road to meet this federal threat. The Yankees had crossed in dangerous force. This regiment here would be commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Tom Marshall, the grandson of the great Chief Justice. They would come right through here. The road is there in its original configuration. On the other side is a tragedy, and on this side is preservation. Okay, so the Federals are coming down the road. The Federals push back. The Confederates with the 8th New York Cavalry will break. They will break because they've been leaped upon in the front by the 6th Virginia Cavalry and the 7th Virginia Cavalry in their flank. These trees were not here. They whipped around, so the 8th New York Cavalry breaks. Grimes Davis will ride out in front. This was his regiment prior to this battle. He recruited this regiment, the 8th New York Cavalry. He drilled them. They hated him. But he rides out in front. Stand firm, 8th New York, stand firm. A young lieutenant, Robert Owen Allen, from Clark County, Virginia.
On the right.
Robert Owen Allen.
On the right.
He will see
On the right.
a lone Yankee officer rallying his men. His horse, Old Whitey, important. His horse, Old Whitey, has already been shot 3 times. He's got 1 bullet left in his revolver. Now, this takes a little courage. You got a wounded horse that's bleeding profusely from the neck, who's white. It's not like it can't be seen. Blood is coming down in torrents. I've got 1 ball left in my pistol, and I'm about to change the Battle of Brandy Station. Because what he does is he rides forward to a bend in the road. And I give you a bend in the road. Right up there. So now it's a bend in the road. Owen Allen will pound the ground with all the noise, cannons, not cannons yet, carbine fire, pistol fire, sabers clashing, horses carrying, a real cacophony of sound. Right now up here, Grimes Davis doesn't hear the threat that's approaching him. At the last minute, however, he hears the sharp metallic sound of hoofbeats on rocks. He turns and he slashes, Grimes Davis does, at this Confederate officer. Grimes Davis will lean down along the saddle of the neck of his horse, and then as he's going by, he will raise his pistol. Boom! He knocks him out of his saddle, mortally wounded. Would you not say that the division commander, out in front of his troops, is leading his attack, and his death might slow things down a little bit? slows things down a little bit. Well, Robino and Allen circles around, he gets away. I have, folks, I've read, like you have, a lot of Civil War history. But I've never read, I don't think, an obituary to a horse. But old Whitey was so famous in the Army of Northern Virginia, he had his own obituary. And I must admit to you that I have been to his grave, out behind a little farmhouse in Virginia. Well, the first service performed by this horse, who died in 1884, first service performed at this horse by this horse was Ashby's command, Harper's Ferry, at the opening point of the war. He made some very conspicuous leaps during the war, and it is a well-known fact that a few weeks prior to his death, in July of 1884, at what we believe his age, 33, and he could, at will, just a few weeks before his death, clear any ordinary fence in search of choice and select pastures and ladies, in which he indulged most sociable, without regulation to party discrimination, and he was at heart a free trader and strictly independent. He lived game and he died game, old Whitey, and his bones rest at Westwood. If any of you are interested, talk to me later, I'll tell you where that's at. Cabo Flournoy, Major, 6th Virginia Cavalry. He rides forward. He doesn't even have a shirt on. Has a little, he doesn't have his formal jacket. He has just a linen shirt on. He's a major commanding these men. He rides forward. Alpheus Clark, commander of the 8th Illinois Cavalry, has come up right in this area. Right in this area. Alpheus Clark comes up, and he's a postmaster before the war in Illinois. Cable Flournoy raises his pistol in the air. He has just challenged the regimental commander opposing to a duel. Raises his pistol in the air. The two of them proceed towards each other till they both stop. About 30 yards apart, and they start shooting at each other. Bang, bang, bang. The whole war stopped here. While these two are engaged in a personal duel. Flournoy will get the better of Alpheus Clark, shoots him in the hand. He goes down. He will later die of blood poisoning. Now next, Sandy Forsyth comes up. He's wounded, has taken over the 8th Illinois Cavalry. Next up is Elon Farnsworth, captain, about to be a general at the end of the month. So, right now what we have is the Federals pushing back. Down this road, the Confederates will fall back behind you to St. James Church, and then we'll pick up St. James Church at St. James Church. What we're going to do right now is, and I'm going to turn it over to my Sergeant Major here, who's going to tell me what we're going to do right now.
You look at the first page in your packet. It says a strip map of our tour route today. I will caveat that. With the rains yesterday, we've had to amend some of the stops, so please stay with us. I don't want to bore you with the details,